there, everybody. Welcome to Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast. I'm Chris, has gotten back on a good sleep routine. Manning, joined as always by my co-host, Evan Dammerall. Before we get into today's show, I want to tell you that this episode is brought to you by Spotify Green Room. Download the app and join us next week on probably Tuesday or Wednesday to get in on the action. And check out our last episode that's in the feed right now. But Evan, what's up, buddy? How are you?
Not too. I think I see that every time. That's how I am. I'm good. We were talking about Fortnite before this. Greg Swartz, if you're listening, what's up? I'm level 115 on the Battle Pass. I'm a little ashamed about that. Didn't pay a dime to level up, though. I only bought the Battle Pass.
That's right, brother. All right. So on today's show, we're going to talk about
how are you?
I'm well rested. I'm well rested.
You're like,
as you know,
you're at a 10. For those watching, I fell and I cut my arm pretty bad. But
you're right. Was this off your bike? Was this off your bike?
No, this is a lot more embarrassing. My cat was on the step and I stepped over him because I'm like, I don't want to step on him, and he's like spread out. So I stepped over him and I didn't quite catch the step, and then I fell. And I'm a large man, so I ate crap, and then my arm just took the brunt of it, and I'm like, oh, that's going to be a bruise. And then it's been like green and purple. It's kind of gnarly. The camera can kind of get it. It's a lot better, but this is kind of oozy and gross, so I covered it up with a Band-Aid.
Yeah, Evan, real quick, I'm going to do a quick little tease. Just say Evan and I are going to be doing a new little component of the show in the coming weeks that is related to what we're doing today. You can probably figure it out if you think about it, or if you're Jeff Phenomenon, you'll probably just text us and bug us about it. But be on the lookout for a cool announcement soon.
We're not starting an OnlyFans. Just throwing that out there. Sorry to disappoint. Chris Manning is still free to the people.
Yeah. I'm a socialist thirst trapper, as the kids say. But today's show, we're going to talk about Taurean Prince, Cedi Osman, and we're going to talk about some of the fringe roster guys. So notably Lamar Stevens, Dean Wade, maybe throw Roderick Thomas in there, and Mfiondu Kaganbele, who golfed in Crocs at Topgolf, which is just an incredibly concerning choice from my guy Kaganbele. But Evan, where do you want to start with this?
Let's start with Taurean Prince. He tweeted the other day that he is mentally and physically good to go now. Did he have surgery? It feels so long.
Yes.
He had surgery on his neck. It was an ankle injury, correct?
I'm quizzing your memory. So it was his ankle, and I think, but he had like a knee injury. I think, Taurean Prince has had a notable injury history.
Yeah, he has, but he said he's fully healthy and good to go. And I think this is bad on my part, but I also just think he didn't play a ton for Cleveland because he was oft injured. And, Jared Allen was really the main attraction of that return in that trade package. So I just think about that and the fact that he's going to be a part of this rotation probably next year. He's going to play some 3, he's going to play some 4, maybe play a little bit of 2 every now and then as well. I think he has a little bit of that versatility to him that's fun. And I think Taurean Prince could be not like a outstanding trade asset, but he could be an intriguing trade asset for some contenders or teams that maybe want to take him off Cleveland's hand for a draft pick or like another salary and some draft picks.
Yeah, so this is where I'm at on Prince. I think if I'm Cleveland, I look at him and say, okay, I don't know if he's 100% like a guy that a team is going to want to come in and give you a good asset for. I think like his injury history.
I'm not saying that, like a couple second rounders or something.
Well, but this is how I would approach this. I think you're going to be in position next year where you and I both kind of think the Kevin Love divorce is probably happening at some point. I sort of think you're going to be heading into next year where it seems like Evan Mobley's going to be the pick, so he's one of your 4s. Larry Nance will be your 4. But Nance will also probably, he could play some small ball 5 depending on what happens. Like you're going to have some interesting front court decisions.
The Mobley pick, he's a 3, just like he won't show Baby Joker Yoda on your shelf. It's just pain after pain today. Oh, there he is. There's our little man.
When I think about Prince, I think that if like there's a world where they got Cade Cunningham, got Jalen Green, right? Like I think, and Kevin goes. I think there's a world where you sort of had this clear need for guys to eat up minutes at the 4 while you figure out what the future position is, right? Like Larry has obviously had a lot of injury issues. Prince has two, and then Wade and Stevens are sort of more unproven prospects. I think Kaganbele is like well below that in my mind, frankly, in terms of how interested I am in him. I think the Mobley pick sort of lessens that as like a thing. Like you're eating because of Nance and stuff, you're eating up less minutes. I think that means Prince is probably going to play some more three. We'll see what depending what other kind of moves they might make, like if they add like a McDermott or a Reggie Bullock, like I think he'll be competing for more minutes there. But if he's healthy and good to go, like I think Prince is a solid player. I like the idea of him eating up some minutes at the 4, depending on what you do. And I think he's like a solid enough player where like I think even if you don't end up flipping or anything, I think you can use him to eat up some minutes on your rotation. I think it's all about his health. He's a guy that I think like maybe if he has a really strong part of the start to the season and like the numbers were good, I think he's making like $14 million, which is like a decent chunk of money for what he is. It's somewhere in that 12 to 14 range. I think that is like kind of a hardish number to move for a guy that is kind of like not been super.
He's making 15 million. Next year.
So even more so the case like that is what it is. But I think like we're in a position with him where it's like I kind of just look and say, okay, like we'll see what happens with him. We'll see what he can kind of be healthy or not. But like I think if he's healthy, like Prince is a solid player that you can do some rotation with. He's again a little overpaid, but I think like if he's your kind of backup 3, backup 4, kind of switching between roles, I don't mind that at all if you can keep him healthy.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure. If he is fully healthy, I think he does change the calculus of a lot of things too, because it depends on who is and isn't here. Like Colin Sexton could be gone, Cedi Osman could be gone. Heck, Jared Allen could walk in restricted free agency. Kevin Love could be gone.
We'll finish about Prince, but can we talk a little bit about Allen before we go into break? I just want to mark that, and then we're going to come back to that.
Yeah, sure, no problem. Like there's a lot of different things going on here. I know Prince doesn't have an impact on the center rotation. Isaiah Hartenstein, the second coming in Nikola Jokic could be gone too. But there's a lot of
the second coming of Nikola Jokic. Unbelievable.
Heck yeah, brother. He's gonna win MVP and 6th Man of the Year and MIP next year for the Cavs. But there's a lot of variables at play here, and Taurean Prince, there's a good chance he will be here because, like you said, he's making $15 million. It's going to be tough for a lot of teams to probably cobble together the salary to match that unless like Cleveland is somehow able to work like a 3-team trade somehow. And like Taurean is like the contract that greases the wheels a little bit because how much did Dante Exum make last year? I'm going to look that up while I keep talking here.
I think like $9 million. It wasn't a ton. It was like a pretty like affordable number, all things considered.
I'm going to look at it right now. It was, yeah, you're right, $9.6 million. So 5.4 million less than what Taurean is making this season. So not as easily movable of a contract, but if the Cavs wanted to get like a draft pick to take on a salary that is deemed, undesirable by some, that's a way to do it. But no, I think Taurean is just like an option too. And even if some of those players are still here, like you said, Larry Nance Jr. can't stay consistently healthy. Taurean can suck those 3-4 minutes. Cedi Osman is super erratic at times, and I think Taurean, when he was healthy and playing at first, felt like a bit of a palate cleanse when we watched him play over Cedi at some points because Taurean isn't like, a world beater offensively. He's solid defensively. He's solid offensively. I don't think he's going to actively harm you while he's on the floor. And there's just some interesting stuff there where like there's not a lot of uncertainty, but you're like, okay, we have an option at 3-4 and also sometimes spot 2, in my opinion, minutes in Taurean Prince, and it's something you can work with there. And then yeah, no, I'm not. Taurean Prince isn't actively harmful, and I think he's a solid enough player, and like I think he's a good locker room presence by all accounts. That he's okay with being with this rebuilding squad. That it's all going to be peaches and gravy.
Do you just before going to break here? Do you have any thoughts on does it signify anything that Jared Allen has been around for some of these in-market workouts ahead of his restricted free agency?
No, because Colin Sexton's in these in-market workouts too, and Colin Sexton's name is all over the trade market right now.
The only thing I will counter that is I think that like if Allen and the Cavs were in a bad space, he would not like he's out of contract functionally. Like I don't like Isaiah Hartenstein is like not at these right and like he's got a player option like he's in Houston it is a choice to come for these and participate in these. I think if the vibes were bad, I don't know if Allen's coming back for these. No. Sexton's like at least under contract. You know what I mean?
That's fair. That is very fair. But I guess, I guess that's a fair point. I feel like a deal's going to get done, even if Evan
I do
Mobley's.
too.
I think it changes the calculus a little bit, but that's it.
I think they can play together and are at least going to try it, and I think that's frankly like the right decision if they embrace it. When I think there are some big Mobley fans that are going to be involved in this decision, which I think is part of this as well.
Yeah, I wrote about it for Redacted, and I kind of talked about how the Cavs can't put the cart in front of the horse here, but if you look at this like a year from now or maybe a year and a half from now, and Evan Mobley's really morphing into your 5 of the future, that's when you maybe explore trading Jarrett, and I think he still will have a desirable market even then, like he does now.
That's right. Okay, Evan, let's take a break. First, we're going to tell everyone about our friends at Spotify Green Room. Spotify Green Room, formerly Locker Room, is the first social audio platform made for sports fans. The app is free to download and once you're in, you can talk with me, other fans, athletes, and insiders in real time about your favorite team or sport. I will be hosting a room for the Locked On Cavs podcast with Evan once a week. So, yes, you can finally join in on the conversation you listen to here every day. We had a really good one the other day. Had one of our highest numbers of people in there. And look, I've been in some really fun green rooms in there. Like Ariel Helwani did one live where he had like over 1,000 people for the Conor McGregor fight over the weekend. A lot of the Ringer NBA folks, including friend of the program, J. Kyle Mann, have been breaking down playoff and finals games after those games wrap on the app. So download that app, and you're going to get some really good sports analysis from some of the smartest names out there. And you're also going to find fans just like you in Green Room for watch parties, debates, post-game breakdowns, and, of course, reacting to big news or rumors. Again, be sure to join us next week. We'll be hosting a room Tuesday or Wednesday, and check out our last thing in our feed. Go download the free Green Room app now, currently available on all iOS devices. Be sure to create a profile, link your Twitter, and join the NBA group for the latest league updates. Follow at CWM Rights and at M.Evan for when the room goes live. I know you won't want to miss it. Again, we're planning to go live next week, probably Tuesday evening or Wednesday. Can't wait to hear everyone's thoughts on the Cavs. See you then, and see you there. Green Room, changing the way that we talk about sports.
Today on the road to the finals, our NBA Finals coverage is brought to you by Michelob Ultra. Real quick, Chris. Last night's game was insane. That was so fun.
Incredible game. The series is great. I want it to go forever. And you know what, man? Giannis, every bit of the Greek freak. Well deserved.
Oh, for sure. And much like Michelob Ultra and these NBA Finals, it's only worth it if you enjoy it. And at 2.6 carbs and 95 calories, you can all enjoy the games a little bit more this postseason. All
right, Evan, let's go to Cedi Osman. So, gotta tell you, I feel like his contract looks like a pretty big mistake, considering how the last year has gone.
Remember when we were talking about it, like at its onset and early on, we're like, his agent's a fool. How did the Cavs get them to agree to this?
Yeah, I still sort of at the time don't think that was like the wrong take. You know, I still at the time kind of think that like that made some sense.
Like, you thought Cedi had all this potential.
Yeah, and you just kind of thought like some of the warts that he's just played like a completely different player last season. Very erratic, very uncoachable. Trying to shoot threes like he's a member of the Utah Jazz.
Yeah, his metamorphosis is fascinating because when he came into the league, when he played alongside LeBron in the spot minutes, he played defense and he was like a tertiary playmaker who made a really exciting touchdown pass to Kevin Love, and he made some threes. And you're like, okay, the Cavs have something here. And then they gave him more minutes, and he started to realize, okay, maybe he's not a starting 3, but he could be solid enough. And then off the bench last year for Cleveland, he was a straight gutter. Like, my guy, yeah, like you said, looked like he was a part of the Utah Jazz, or at least attempting to be part of the Utah Jazz.
Do you remember when he said we need to shoot threes like we're the Utah Jazz? Like, he openly was just like, we need to like do this. And I'm just like, wow, okay, Cedi.
I mean, technically, he's not wrong. I wrote about this for my Colin Sexton review. There's a direct correlation with teams who take in, big emphasis here, make more threes or more highly efficient offensively, and if Colin took more threes, it'd unlock more for the offense. But I don't think Cedi should be the advocate in leading this revolution. There's other players I think I'd rather have leading the charge when it comes to the Cavs taking more threes.
So is Cedi, salvageable to you? Is Cedi Osman like a salvageable rotation player? And what do you think the path is if it's in Cleveland, assuming they don't flip him or something, to make this work?
See, Cleveland, it's a little tougher, I think. I think he's salvageable. I don't think he's like irredeemable or like damaged goods. I think he did a lot of damage to his reputation. I think him kind of getting the coach's hook, and from what you and I heard, they were trying to rework basically the fundamentals and like, okay, we're going to take baby steps with your playing time and figure out steps as well before we really like get too wild again. And every time Cedi gets a little too crazy, JB would pull the hook on it. And I think that's kind of the same thought process you have. Maybe you really coach it to him this summer. I think he's back overseas at this point, so maybe he's with the Turkish national team or he's just doing work over there and such. I think he is. Him and his like very Instagrammable face or on my feed every other day. But it's see, that's why I made a face for those watching when Chris said, "Is there a way for the Cavs to fix it?" I think if he was traded to a contender for a team who thinks like, okay, we might have like a young wing here who can gun threes for us off the bench. I think if you minimalize and compartmentalize his role for a contender, it's a lot easier. On the Cavs, it's a bit of a tougher sell sometimes because where's the offense going to come from when Colin Sexton sits, or it's basically when Colin Sexton sits and then like Darius Garland too at points, but you got to get it from somebody. And if Cedi's willing to step up and be that guy, yeah, you have to discourage it if it's actively harmful, but at the same time, you need somebody to take those shots too. That's the problem there. And I said, that's why I made that face, like I said. So if you put him like on the Clippers or the Lakers, those are my two examples off the top of my head. Ty or Frank Vogel would say, okay, Cedi, when you go in, we want you to float around the perimeter, play defense, rebound, kick out the ball, and just like be a gunner, but within reason. And the nice thing is, if you play with the Clippers or the Lakers, you'll get decent looks as well. So I think if you minimalize his impact and just tell him like these are like the 3-4 things we need you to do when you're out there, that's good. With the Cavs, they're probably gonna ask him for like 5-6 things to do.
Yes. Yeah, the Clippers are an interesting name because I was talking to a friend of the program, Lucas Hahn, about the Cedi. He DM'd me on Wednesday about Cedi and was like, hey, like the Clippers, because of this Kawhi Leonard situation, are going to need a stopgap small forward, you would think, right? Like you would think that this is a team now that has to like find some minutes there. Like, right, like I mean, like Kawhi might not play next year, right? Like, and I'm not like this is not like, hey, like Cedi Osman is our Kawhi replacement. This is like we need to eat minutes. The variables there are like, that's where
I thought you were going with that at first. I was just like, oh, Chris.
Yeah, Evan, I'm not contrary to what like people may tell me about my hands or whatever, like I'm not totally stupid.
No, I'm not saying that. I just smile because I was just like, there's a huge drop off.
Top 3 seed. It's the Cedi and PG show. But what I kind of think is like, okay, they might need a body. The Rondo, like
cancer in the playoffs, Cedi's gonna kill him. So,
well, God, like okay, so like if if you could do like, let's just say Rondo for him, and you get a pick back to attach it. You're buying out Rondo. He can go sign with a veteran team for the minimum or whatever, do what he's going to do. But, like, that gets you off of the Cedi contract. I think it's a year shorter. You're going to save money in the buyout anyway. And, like, it kind of just allows you to, like, not have to worry about the Cedi thing anymore. Because I think, like, the variable here is, like, you know how players will sometimes tune out coaches. They'll tune out those voices over time. Like, is Cedi like going to be responsive to JB? Like, I mean, I think that's like an open kind of concern if you're wondering about like why was Cedi just suddenly like looking uncoachable in some ways and had to get benched for a while and then whatever. Like, was that a JB thing where like him and JB are just not vibing anymore? Like, if that's the thing, then that's a concern, and maybe you have to kind of work around like moving on in some way. Or like, I think that's just like a concern you would have. If you're me, that's the way I'm thinking about this.
Yeah. But JB also is a defensive first coach, and if Cedi, he made it pretty clear, like if you're not going to play defense, you're not going to play. And I think for certain players it's different, but with Cedi Osman, it's not that different.
Yes. So I don't know if it's in Cleveland. I think he can still be like an okay NBA player. I think if he gets to the right spot, I think maybe if he's tagged in on a certain trade, like I kind of think that's like a way I would look at it. It's just very hard to.
I have a trade proposal.
All right, hit me with it.
Colin Sexton and Cedi Osman, and maybe a second for DeJounte Murray, sorry.
I would love DeJounte Murray.
Oh, dude, him and Darius Garland slapped together in theory. I'd like to see it in execution, but I think
it's really it's clutch as one might say.
True.
If you know, you know. But
if you know, you know. Trade back for Tristan Thompson too. Save him from Boston.
I I don't think Boston does that. I think if San Antonio wanted to go that route, I could do that. I could do that. I think Murray, like I tweeted this because Nikias Duncan from Basketball News, great writer, great follow. You should read his stuff and go check that out. But he wrote kind of a Murray.
Smartest people on NBA Twitter.
Yeah. He had a thing about Murray trades basically, and it was like Cavs are one of them. And I think like if Murray's your defending point of attack, that's great. Like the offense might be really tricky, but like Murray, Garland, Okoro, Mobley, and Allen is just like a vibe to me. I love that. The idea of that is sort of like a starting five or like a core five with Nance and like maybe you get McBuckets and Prince to kind of play your wing minutes, and Dean Wade exists. Like there's some fun stuff there.
So yeah, it's a really grindy team. I think Colin
It's
Sexton.
a JB. It's a JB
Bickerstaff. That's a JB Bickerstaff team for sure.
That is a JB Bickerstaff squad if I've ever heard one in my life.
Like just Murray, Okoro, Mobley, and Allen are a Bickerstaff squad. Garland is just that fun.
Garland's like it's a lot of pressure on DG
he's happy
for sure.
To be there, but
yeah, and Murray's really good. Murray's really good. Murray's really good.
I think. To pivot, I think San Antonio is a good destination for Colin too, if they keep DeMar DeRozan, because DeMar DeRozan has shown off his ability as a playmaker a little bit too. The spacing is going to be awful down there, but
he can opt in for agency, which is the other part of this. We don't really know what he's going to do.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's a little like he's just going to go to one of the LA teams smoke out there. Like
there
they're
is.
just gonna like cram
sign
it
on sign on like the vet man, brother, rock on, but
or get like MLA. Yeah, I don't know. It is what it is.
I've just been looking at teams that have like those playmaking wings that aren't named LeBron James or Giannis Antetokounmpo / Chris Middleton. And like Miami makes sense, and like San Antonio makes sense as a call destination.
I still would preferably, I think, unless you get a deal like that, just run it back and figure it out later. But I can understand if that kind of deal presents itself, then I'm a little more.
I've talked enough about he shall not be named that I'm being stifled as an artist by you. So I've been
yeah. Okay, Evan, we got to pay another set of bills.
We do, but before we do that, do you know what's really upsetting? They made a melting emoji, and now there's a troll emoji, so everyone can use that against me. But yeah, we got to pay some bills, and if you want to bet on me using these emojis, it might be a betting line. They have bet lines for Space Jam, I learned today. Space Jam 2, actually. And I'm, of course, talking about our friends at BetOnline. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to bet on all your sports action. Baseball season is in full swing, and you can track all the action at BetOnline. Get all your latest news, odds, and info for all your sporting needs, including the MLB, NBA Finals, the NHL offseason, and all your UFC MMA action. Before the next pitch, head over to BetOnline on your laptop or mobile device and check all the great sporting news, sign-up bonuses, and contest information. Do not sit on the sidelines anymore, as this is your chance to get into the game as teams prep for their runs to the playoffs or championship. So if you're interested, head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today and receive a 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit, but only if you use the promo code LOCKEDON. BetOnline, your online sportsbook experts and the exclusive betting partner of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Also want to tell you about our friends at Built Bar. So if you didn't know, Built Bar has a ton of delicious flavors. You have a great freedom of choice with Built Bar. So there's something for everyone. There are coconut, cherry barcia, raspberry, double chocolate, cookies and cream, and many, many more. If you haven't tried any of the flavors or want to try them all, you can get a mix box. You get 2 of each of the 9 flavors. Right now, you can get the raspberry, the mint brownie, or the double chocolate, whatever it is you like. And you're going to get a protein bar with 18 grams of protein, calories ranging from 130 to 180, only 4 to 5 grams of sugar, and only 4 to 5 grams of net carbs. Amazing flavors, all tasty, all healthy. Built Bar is also the official protein bar of the U.S. track and field team. Isn't that neat? So order today. Get the raspberry, the mint brownie, or whatever you like. Go to Built.com and use promo code LOCKED15 to get 15% off your next order. Again, promo code LOCKED15 for 15% off at BuiltBar.com. Okay, Evan, let's end here on the sort of end of the roster, sort of bigger wing types. We have 3 we're going to talk about. Lamar Stevens, Dean Wade, Mfiondu Kaganbele. Kaganbele, no. Kaganbele, I think, is like, I don't really have a ton to say there. I think, like, plays hard, two-way guy is like a depth piece, whatever. I don't think he's much more than that to me if I'm thinking about it. Didn't show me a ton as far as, like, becoming a rotation piece last year.
Speaking of friend of the pod, Lucas on the bane of his existence, Mfiondu Kaganbele. He was an interesting story. I don't know. It's just he was a guy. He was somebody for me to observe once this Cavs season started to wind down a little bit to say, like, do the Cavs have something here? Probably not. He's going to be on the summer league team, I'm sure. He's probably going to be fighting for a training camp spot at least, and then fighting his way to get a roster spot. He might end up in Canton for all we know. Sorry, no, not Canton. The Cleveland, the Canton Charge G League basketball club.
I also want to say we should we should try to get someone an interview about that. I think that would be a cool episode and kind of tell people about that, because I think it'd be cool. And I'm very excited to go to a game at the Wolstein Center personally.
Wolstein Center is great, man. They are a vaccination haven, and now they are the heaven of the future of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Maybe, fingers crossed. But yeah, Kaganbele, he's going to be fighting for a roster spot next year. Like, he's so low on the totem pole for me that I'm just like, yeah, if he's here, great. Maybe he'll get some minutes every now and then, but I don't think he's really high on the Cavs priority list either.
So let's go to Lamar Stevens next, because I kind of think like Lamar is a guy that I'm intrigued to see where he goes. I like that they signed him to a 4-year contract. I understand like the shot is a concern. He's another example of like if JB Bickerstaff, and maybe some of this is the season. I don't think JB is like the most inspired offensive coach. Like I think like you just watch it, like even though Team USA has kind of struggled and everything, like there are ways they're running pick and rolls with non-shooting bigs that set screens where they're like, you know, getting a quick pass, throwing the like little DHO or a little like just quick pass back to the guards as they're setting the screen. Like it adds wrinkles that the defense interact to. Stevens, I think, can do some of that stuff, and if he can shoot, I think he's going to be able to stick in the league. I think you just got to see if you can develop that shot. But I would like to see him like get minutes, and I think that there's like a point next year where like, you know, Prince maybe gets a little dinged up and has to like maybe not play back-to-backs or something. Like I want to see Stevens play minutes. I think I'm intrigued enough to play him in, and at the same time, like if you get through training camp and you're like, okay, we still think there's upside here. We've seen him. I kind of think he'll probably play at Summer League. I would guess it would just seem like he's kind of a classic Summer League guy. What I would like to do is see him get a chance to like maybe play for the Cleveland Charge and get like a bunch of just game reps there, because I do think there is something to like a lot of these guys just didn't get a lot of game reps last year. Due to COVID, due to some of them not going to the bubble, as teams are kind of prioritizing their main roster depth as they are, you know, I think very fair to do. I just want to see if you can develop him. Wade is, I think, the better player right now. I think Stevens has like potentially more utility in the NBA. It's sort of like
I do too.
When I say that like Isaac Okoro like maybe could be the best young guy the Cavs have at a time. That is sort of like, I think his utility is just sort of very clear in the NBA if he kind of maximizes himself. I don't necessarily think that is going to be true, and there's certainly confusing aspects of him and like things we need to see him do. But like for Stevens, it's like I think there's a very clear path where if he can just like figure some stuff out on the edges of his game, like there is a rotation guy there where he could be like your 10th, 11th guy, like on a playoff playing kind of team, I think.
No, I absolutely agree. I do think Lamar Stevens is a dog, to quote Jordan Bell. He plays really hard on both ends of the floor. Like you said, he's not a great shooter, but he's shown some interesting stuff where I do wonder at times when the Cavs are getting gobsmacked or they're kind of depleted by injuries, we didn't see more from Lamar. He averaged 4.4 points, 2.5 rebounds, and 13.1 minutes per game at points during the season.
6'6", 230, pretty good size. And just as a note, shook 0.6 threes last year, shot 16% on those threes. So he's like starting from the ground up.
Really. Oh,
really.
He absolutely is, but he also could be an Alfonso McKinney special, if you know what I mean. Where Kobe Altman uses him to maybe get a player that they, like last year, they needed a backup center, and they traded Jordan Bell and Alfonso McKinney for JaVale McGee and a second-round pick. Lamar Stevens could be another player like that, where he could be traded for in combination with like Dean Wade maybe, or even Kaganbele if he happens to be here for some reason. Like he gets that deal like Jordan Bell did, and then those two are packaged together, and the Cavs get like a cheap salary back for an actual rotation player, and they get a second-round pick for the troubles. Like I could see Lamar Stevens taking that route, but he had, like you said, he has more utility at least and versatility on this roster that if he does stick, I would like to see him get minutes, like you said. Like it'd be fun.
Let's move on to Dean Wade. I think very clearly has an NBA skill set, bombs a bunch of threes, takes them at eye glove, makes them. I think Dean can stick, and I think again, like I think if you get to a world where like, let's say Kevin's off the team next year, he's to me, and you take Mobley, he's your fourth big. I think you play him with Mobley to space.
My heart sank again when you said, let's say Kevin's off the team again, and you're going to say, yeah, Dean Wade's your starting four going forward. I'm like, oh, no.
Yeah, you're just going to take the Rick Adelman Minnesota offense, and Dean Wade is going to be the Kevin Love. Just let's go. This is a bit. Evan.
I know.
Because you're just assuming I'm going to say dumb stuff, and I'm not going to say dumb stuff. It might be dumb, but I don't think it's
all right,
dumb.
Chris No Fingers Manning, let's calm down here. But
I'm going to sick this guy on you in your sleep, buddy. I'm holding up the baby Yoda Joker for this.
I know. You're telling everyone not watching.
That's because podcasting famously a visual medium.
Maybe we'll get more of it soon. Who knows? But
look at that! Look at that little tease.
Dean Wade could be like a 10th, 11th man for this team. I saw somebody the other day. It showed up in my feed for some reason. That he should be getting more minutes than Larry Nance Jr. No, he shouldn't. But Dean Wade does have a skill set, and that is as a 3-point shooter, and he makes Cleveland's offense better. I think you can probably pull up advanced match with Chris, and it shows that he makes the Cavs better offensively just from the spacing he provides. But he could also be like a Cedi Osman case where the more minutes you get, the more you see his lumps. So if you kind of keep him in a nice package contained role, you get an okay player. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I think like fourth big, third big, if Nance is out with injuries and stuff. I think like he is a good fit in theory because he's going to at least try to rebound. He's going to try to defend. He's going to fight and put in effort, and he's going to shoot threes next to your Mobleys and your Allens. Because I think even if Mobley eventually is able to shoot, and I know we're sort of talking about like Mobley as he's like the locked-in pick. I really think it's headed that way.
Mm-hmm.
Like I really just kind of think like unless like something wacko happens, like I think that's heading that way.
I do too.
Contrary to what has been out there, I don't really think the Kuminga workout was as good as has been indicated by some.
I'll go on the record and say
let's talk about this next week. Let's put a pin in it. Let's do a Kuminga episode next week. We got to milk the content, Evan.
Sure.
This is my spreadsheet brain just like popping out here.
We'll just say
let's just say it didn't go well.
Other folks talk to people in the organization. You figure out who spoke to who.
I think we're in a position where like Mobley is 90%, 95% the pick, and you're going to end up with if Dean Wade can be your fourth big, your third big, depending on if Nance's availability and stuff, and he can space around these guys. Like, I don't know if he's like Dean Wade is not like a perfect NBA player, but like I would rather have him at like a bargain contract than paying like Lauri Markkanen like $9 million.
Oh yeah, the Lauri Markkanen fascination. I think I'm kind of glad we moved past that because.
Would you rather have Markkanen or Cedi Osman on your team next year? Okay, I tend to agree. I just am pretty out at Markkanen.
I am too, and I think some team's going to get tricked into paying him a ton of money. It could be Chicago for all we know, but it's going to be a team. Lauri Markkanen is just not very good. He's not TJ Leaf bad. That was a miss by the Pacers. Oh God, I forgot when we had Mark Schindler on. We talked about how bad the Pacers drafting history was. On any cornrows or here, we talked about how bad their draft history was. Either way,
it all blends together.
Miss.
Yeah.
After that,
Evan, any final thoughts as we wrap this up?
No, not really. Just
okay.
It's been fun. The draft is 2 weeks away. One of our Discord listeners is going to the draft, so hopefully. He's been asking me a lot, how can he get tickets? The NBA announced it today as we're recording this, so I sent him the link in our Discord server. If you want to join up, man, just hit me up for the link. I don't really tweet it that often anymore. But it's a fun little community. It's kind of chill, low-key. We just vibe, talk about basketball. No one really tries to hurt each other's feelings. It's not the Fear the Sword comment section, so it's great.
Yeah, that's where we're at. I think that was a fun little pod. Thanks to Jeff Phenomena for giving us some content direction. I'll buy you a beer when I see you in person.
Content producer, Jeff Phenomena.
Yeah,
that's his
DOC.
Title. No pay. There's no pay. It's his title.
Yeah, we could talk about him on the pod, and then we'll invite him to a redacted event that we might be going to.
If our listeners are looking, the name of our group chat is because.
We've had some names and some photos on that.
I chose that one because I
made
love
it
Jeff
a
to pieces, but he texts us about our thoughts about the Cavs. What's the latest haps? But He's not into Evan Mobley, but we'll convert him to the Church of Evan.
Well, I wonder if Jeff's boss is like, what he's doing. Like, probably thinking Jeff's like working his butt off all day, like taking calls, but it's just like he's actually texting his two schmuck friends about the Cavs in his aptly named text group.
He's mastered the art of like wearing his AirPods or earpiece and pretending he's on a call the whole time, and he's like on his phone, like I'm working both at the same time, and he's actually just doing. Well, he upset all of Cavs Twitter today, so
fun times. But on that note, it's gonna be it. Everyone be well. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. We'll have a ton before the draft. Check out Chad Ford's NBA Big Board. Check out Locked On NBA Draft. Check out the last video episode we did with Rafael Barlow. I did that with him on Evan Mobley. Whole bunch of great stuff in our feed here and across the entire network. Until next time, this has been Locked On Cavs. Be well. Evan, send us out.
As always, folks, give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts. We really appreciate that. Check us out on Spotify. We have a big announcement coming soon with more content coverage when it comes to Locked On Cavs shenanigans and whatnot. But give us a follow on Twitter at Locked On Cavs. Chris will no longer be hostile about Colin Sexton on there, but you can follow him personally at CWM Rights. You can follow me at am.evan. And a friendly reminder, folks, that we are the only Cleveland Cavaliers podcast that both hosts are verified. Suck it, Carter Rodriguez. Be well, everyone.
Peace.